Karen yelled that my fence was ruining her $1 million view and said she would sue me and take all my money if I didn't tear it down. So I did. I removed the fence completely. And then I built something even bigger, a giant wall made of super strong clear glass. And after it was done, I sent her a bill every single month. Let me explain. My name is Marcus, and I moved to a quiet mountain town because I wanted peace. After working for many years as an engineer, I was tired of noise, stress, and people. I just wanted a simple life. I bought a small piece of land with trees, fresh air, and a beautiful view of the mountains. But the most important thing on that land was a small garden. That garden belonged to my wife. She loved flowers more than anything. She planted roses, hung little wind chimes, and placed a wooden bench in the middle. Every morning, she would sit there and smile like everything in the world was perfect. 2 years ago, she passed away. And that garden became the only place where I still felt close to her. So I built a simple wooden fence around it. Not to block anyone, but to protect something special. Every morning, I would sit there with my coffee, listening to the wind and the soft chimes. For a while, life was calm again. Then one day, everything changed. A huge house started being built right next to mine. It was big, shiny, and looked completely out of place. Fancy cars came and went. Workers were there every day. And then I met my new neighbor. Her name was Bethany. But honestly, she acted like a Karen. The first time she came over, she smiled and tried to act friendly. She brought cookies and talked in a sweet voice. But her eyes kept looking at my fence. Finally, she said, "Oh, that's not very nice." I asked what she meant. She pointed at my fence and said, "It blocks the view from my kitchen." I told her calmly that the fence was important to me. She smiled again, but this time it felt fake. 2 days later, she came back. No cookies this time. No smile either. "Your fence is a problem," she said. "I paid a lot of money for this house. I deserve a clear view of the mountains." I explained again. I told her about my wife, about the garden, about why it mattered. She looked at me and then said something I will never forget. "Your wife is gone. She doesn't need it anymore." For a moment, I just stood there. That sentence hurt more than anything. But I stayed calm. I told her no. That's when everything started getting worse. A few days later, I received a letter. It said my fence was breaking community rules and had to be removed. The strange thing was, there were no rules before. She had just created them. Somehow, she got 2 neighbors to support her. Later, I found out she had helped them with money and legal stuff. But at that time, it looked real. Then the small problems started. Her workers would blow leaves into my yard on purpose. Loud music would start early in the morning. Sometimes they would hit my fence and pretend it was an accident. Every day, something new. Then one morning, she came to my door again. "If you don't remove that fence," she said, "I will make your life very expensive." That sentence stayed in my mind. Very expensive. That's when I knew this wasn't just about the view. So I decided to find out the truth. I started checking old records, property sales, and public information. And what I found changed everything. She had done this before. Many times. She would move into a neighborhood, find someone with a good property, and start causing problems. Then she would pressure them again and again, until they finally gave up and sold their home for less money. And somehow, she always made money from it. She wasn't just a rude neighbor. She was doing this on purpose. But then I found something even more important. When I checked her property map carefully, I noticed something strange. Part of her driveway, and part of her yard, were actually built on land that legally belonged to me. It was called an easement. That meant I had rights over that part of the land. And suddenly, I had a plan. A few days later, we had a meeting. She stood there, talking about rules, property value, and how I was being unfair. When it was my turn, I didn't argue. I just showed her the documents. "You built on my land," I said calmly. The room went quiet. Her face changed. The two neighbors looked confused. Then I said, "Don't worry. I'll remove my fence." She smiled again. She thought she had won. But she had no idea what I was about to do. Over the next 2 weeks, I worked on a new design. Not a normal fence. Something better. Something she couldn't complain about. Then one morning, trucks arrived. Big trucks. Workers started unloading huge clear panels. Karen ran outside, shocked. "What are you doing?" she shouted. I smiled and said, "You wanted the fence gone." They started building. Piece by piece, a tall wall of clear glass went up. It was strong, stronger than steel. But completely see-through. You could see the mountains perfectly. So technically, it didn't block the view at all. But it changed everything. Karen stood there, watching, unable to say anything. Now instead of a simple wooden fence, there was a giant glass wall right next to her property. People started noticing. Neighbors came to look. Cars slowed down. Some people even stopped to take pictures. Karen tried to stop it. She called people, complained, and even tried to damage the glass. But nothing worked. The wall was too strong. Then I added one last thing. A small viewing platform. Now people could stand there and enjoy the view. And because the wall was clear, they could also see her yard. Everything. She had wanted a better view. Now everyone had one. On the opening day, many people came. Some were curious. Some just wanted to see the drama. Karen came out screaming. "This is harassment," she shouted. "That wall needs to come down." That's when I handed her a letter. She opened it. And her face went pale. "You built part of your property on my land," I said. "So you have to pay me rent. Every month. For using that space." She couldn't believe it. But it was true. She tried to fight it. But she had no choice. Everything was legal. A few weeks later, she put her house up for sale. A few months later, she was gone. The new owners moved in. And guess what? They loved the glass wall. They said it made the place special. And every single month. Right on time. I still receive a payment. Because sometimes, when someone tries to take something from you, the best thing you can do is give them exactly what they asked for. Just in a way they never expected.